On Halloween night, 1968, Jeremy, a former BLU scout, visits his medic colleague, Dr. Fritz Ludwig, complaining of paranoia, nightmares, and physical injuries that got him fired from the BLU Corporation. His symptoms are the result of a terrible accident involving the respawn machine. Dr. Ludwig listens carefully. He knows the machine has had disturbing failures before, cases where the mind simply cannot cope with the experience of dying and returning over and over again. He gives Jeremy a bottle of emesis diazepam to manage the hallucinations. As Jeremy prepares to leave, a box of VHS tapes in Ludwig's office mysteriously falls over on its own. Both men pretend not to notice. Something is wrong, something unseen is already watching them. Jeremy returns home to his single mother. He settles in to watch a film he stole from Ludwig's office, a copy of the old 1931 movie M, but the evening takes a terrifying turn. His phone rings, and playing back through the receiver is a recording of his own conversation with Ludwig from earlier that day. Someone has been listening. He turns around. His mother's decapitated head peers around a wall. A masked figure wearing a plague doctor's mask stands silently in the corner of the room. Jeremy's fate is sealed. Story 2. The detective and the soldier, meanwhile, on the other side of town, a BLU spy working as a private investigator, is on a case. His assistant is a rough, cigarette-smoking soldier, a washed-up war veteran named Jane Doe. The BLU Corporation's chairman and the governor of New Mexico, Jules Archibald, has gone missing. Archibald is not just a politician, he is also the inventor of the respawn machine, the very device that powers the endless war between two rival brothers. Redmond and Blutarch Man, CEOs of Red and BLU. The brothers have been at war with each other for decades, both using the respawn machine to stay alive longer than the other. Spy and soldier tail a former BLU heavy, who they believe knows something about Archibald's disappearance. The heavy is waiting to hand off a mysterious briefcase to someone. Spy gets into a violent altercation with the heavy in a dark alley. As they struggle, soldier appears behind the heavy and shoots him dead, much to Spy's fury, as the heavy was their only lead. The briefcase is right there, but before Spy can grab it, he is suddenly knocked down by the same plague doctor masked figure who appeared in Jeremy's house. The figure holds Spy at gunpoint, then changes his mind, grabs the briefcase, jumps into a black hearse, and races away into the night. Soldier snaps a photograph of the departing vehicle, their only clue. Act 2. Descent into the slaughterhouse Felfrenrens. Back at his office, Dr. Ludwig experiences something terrifying. He has a vision. He sees himself standing inside Jeremy's house. Then he snaps awake in his own office, blood covering his hands. He receives a package, photographs of Scout being stalked. His phone rings and plays back their earlier conversation, with Jeremy's muffled voice underneath, as if he is trying to scream. And then Ludwig notices it, a bloody inscription carved into the wall of his office, pointing him toward a location outside town, the Conager Slaughterhouse, a red base. Ludwig has no choice. He has to go. At the slaughterhouse, Ludwig narrowly avoids a resurrected heavy, a dead mercenary brought back through the respawn machine, and flees to the basement. There he finds Jeremy, alive but broken. But Jeremy, driven mad by fear and pain, believes Ludwig himself is his captor. Before Ludwig can explain, Jeremy is grabbed and dragged away by the owners of the slaughterhouse, the Conager brothers, Zed and Maynard, twisted, violent men. They torture Jeremy to death in front of Ludwig. Ludwig fights back. He brawls with Maynard Conager, and it is a brutal, desperate fight. Maynard overpowers him. Ludwig dies. But then, something impossible happens. Ludwig mysteriously resurrects right there in the slaughterhouse. He rises, kills both Maynard and Zed Conager, and finds the briefcase that was stolen from Spy. The respawn machine's influence runs deeper than anyone understood. Ludwig himself has become part of it. Meanwhile, Spy and Soldier have followed the same trail. They pose as federal agents and search Jeremy's house, finding Ludwig's bone saw at the murder scene. This makes Ludwig look like the prime suspect. They arrive at Ludwig's office, receive a mysterious phone call playing Fritz's voice, and discover the same bloody inscription on the wall, the slaughterhouse. Inside the slaughterhouse's sewers, they outwit and fatally wound a red sniper. But then Spy is captured by the plague doctor masked figure, revealed to be a pyro, and the duo are separated. Alone, Soldier experiences something surreal, a temporal anomaly in the base's lobby, as if time itself is breaking down. He finds a wounded red demoman named Cyclops and frees him. Together, they fight their way through a weapons locker and a resupply room, battling a mutated Scout and a horde of undead red mercenaries. Dead soldiers brought back wrong by the machine. Ludwig, now suffering a psychotic break, finds Soldier and Cyclops being attacked by the resurrected Heavy. He helps them fight it off. The three are forced deeper into the slaughterhouse by an elevator that descends further underground. Act 3, Purgatory and Truth Frenfremin. The deeper they go, the more reality falls apart. Soldier and Cyclops find Jules Archibald locked inside a cage, but Soldier is separated from the group. Cyclops, seemingly transported to Purgatory, meets a third Conager brother, Del, who describes the limbo-like eternity mercenaries experience between respawns, a void of infinite, silent death between each resurrection with no escape. This is the horror at the film's heart. Not just death, but the impossibility of rest. Every time a mercenary dies and comes back, they experience eternity in the space between. It is a fate worse than any wound. Soldier stumbles upon Cyclops, frozen to death in a cryogenic laboratory. Alongside him, numerous clones of Soldier himself. The experiments here have gone far beyond respawning. Archibald was playing God. Soldier and Ludwig press on, eventually defeating the resurrected Sniper and Pyro deep in the facility. Spy escapes captivity and shoots the Pyro, but is badly burned in a gasoline fire. Finally, all four mercenaries converge, and then the truth is revealed. Spy finds Jules Archibald confessing over the phone, admitting to war profiteering with the respawn machines, selling immortality to Redmond and Plutarch's man to keep their war going indefinitely, while ordinary mercenaries paid the psychological price of infinite death. Spy shoots Archibald dead. Then, in a shocking twist, Spy forces Ludwig and Soldier to play Russian roulette and kills the medic, but Soldier survives. As the slaughterhouse burns down around him, he escapes just as the building collapses, crushing the Heavy beneath the rubble. Epilogue, Cover-Up and Resurrection. Fenfelman's Soldier is interviewed by Agent Stemmons, a CIA agent, who coldly instructs him to stay silent about everything that happened inside the slaughterhouse. Life moves on. The powerful protect themselves. At Archibald's funeral, attended by rival brothers Plutarch and Redmond Man, Spy delivers a cover story. Ludwig murdered Archibald, then committed suicide. Spy installs himself as Archibald's successor, seizing control of the respawn machine's legacy. But the dead do not stay buried. A resurrected Dr. Ludwig suddenly rises from the funeral coffin and shoots Spy. He fights his way out of the crowd. Soldier, making his choice, defects and hands Ludwig the briefcase, helping him fight off their pursuers. In the chaos, Soldier kills a wounded Plutarch, and Ludwig escapes in an ambulance, running over Redmond Man in the process, only to die in a car crash just outside the city. And so Ludwig dies again, but this time there is no violence, no horror. He simply arrives in Purgatory, where he meets Archibald, Jeremy, and Del Conager. They are all there in the quiet between deaths. The film ends on one final image, back inside the burning ruins of the Conager slaughterhouse. The respawn machine still stands amid the flames. A silhouette steps out of it. The cycle continues. It never ends. What the film is really about, Emesis Blue takes the concept of respawning, a basic gameplay mechanic in Team Fortress 2, and turns it into a horror story exploring the terrifying reality of constantly dying and coming back to life, unable to escape the eternity of respawning. It is a story about cheating death and unfolding conspiracies about powerful people doing morally wrong things. The rich and powerful, the Mann brothers, Archibald, Spy, use the machine for profit and power, while the soldiers who actually fight and die suffer an eternal psychological hell they can barely medicate away. In the end, it is Ludwig, the man who was murdered, resurrected, betrayed, and killed again, who gets the closest thing to peace, a quiet eternity with the others who were lost. Emesis Blue was directed by Chad Payne, produced by Fortress Films, Australia, and released free on YouTube on February 20, 2023. Runtime, 108 minutes, made entirely in Source Filmmaker.